Thank you very much, Gianni, and thanks to all of you. I'm sorry for my late arrival. I was virtually in Nairobi, and the panel with some African leaders ran late, and so I'm late to arrive here. But fortunately, still in time to say that obviously the future is solar. This is without question. It's just the birth pains that we're talking about right now. There is no doubt we are moving to a decarbonized global energy system because we have to. And with temperatures these days in Siberia of more than 30 degrees C, we are absolutely destroying the planet if we don't move to zero carbon energy, of which solar is the most plentiful and the lowest cost. So I'm not worried about the long term. I'm only worried about the short term, our incapacity to do things right these days. My country is Exhibit A. God forbid we'd actually have to make a rational decision on anything. The United States would fall apart before it would take any rational step. And this is unfortunately the reality. That's why we have an ongoing epidemic. We have a completely irrational president, and it's just the nature of our life right now. But it doesn't actually change the longer term. By 2050, we will be in a decarbonized world economy. And the question is how to get there. COVID accelerates the change, actually. While it makes short-term complications of market pricing, it makes absolutely clear two things. First, we can't ignore reality. We ignored the reality of pandemics. Now we have a massive global crisis. We can't ignore the reality of climate change. And the ones that are ignoring the pandemic, like Trump and Bolsonaro, are the ones that are ignoring climate change too. It goes hand in hand with their populistic politics. It's completely destructive politics. Anti-science for the sake of vested interests is not going to get us anywhere. So the first thing this pandemic teaches us is listen to some facts. And the facts are we need to decarbonize, and the facts are that solar is going to be core to that mix. The second reality of the pandemic is we're going to have high unemployment. We're going to need a recovery plan. That's definitely true in the United States, where we are going to have double-digit unemployment for years to come. There's going to be lots of unemployment in Europe. There's going to be lots of underemployed and unemployed people and resources all over the world. So everybody in every region, aside from these populists, is talking about how to build back better, how to make a green recovery. In Europe, this means the European Green Deal. It means the European Recovery Fund, 750 billion euros that the Commission has adopted as part of Europe's recovery. A significant part of that should be to finance the European Green Deal. In Asia, it means a renewed debate about the transformation to a green economy. I'm part of a process, along with the many Chinese leaders and international leaders, on greening the Belt and Road Initiative. Right now, the Belt and Road Initiative, the world's largest single infrastructure program, has too much coal in it. And now there will need to be a recovery plan, and the only one that will make sense will be one that is based on renewable energy. I think the Chinese leadership is moving in that direction. And if the European Green Deal can be combined with a green Belt and Road Initiative, this will be a huge advance. I'm encouraging ASEAN to have an ASEAN Green Deal because ASEAN too is a region that's going to need to move to a new renewable energy based development. India has seen the calamity of the mega pollution from its coal-based energy system. It will need to double down on the India solar mission, which is extremely important. And I was just getting off the phone with African leaders talking about Africa's Green Deal, also how to build a renewable energy system in Africa, where there's also, of course, massive solar potential all through Africa, but especially in North Africa, the Sahel, and Southern Africa, opportunities for mega projects as well. Finally, in South America, right now we're in the hands of the oil lobby and the populists from Trump, AMLO in Mexico, and Bolsonaro in Brazil. They're disasters, but I think their brand of politics is also being shown to be disastrous. And I hope and anticipate there will be a shift in politics soon. In the US context, of course, we're counting on November. And I just want to be clear about this. You know, a lot is happening, as everybody knows, at the state and local level in the United States, but we need federal leadership. We have no leadership in anything right now. And it looks more and more likely that Vice President Biden will be the incoming president, and in which case there will be a US Green New Deal. And it will be based heavily on developing renewable energy, solar, and wind power as the basis for rebuilding the US energy system. In my own view, I just want to say, I believe that these plans are extremely important, and I think that the Global Solar Council can really weigh in on them. What politicians want to know is solar economical, and will it create jobs? Those are the two crucial issues. This is a jobs question as much as an energy question for politicians in a COVID or post-COVID environment. The answer is it will create a lot of jobs. Moving to a green economy is going to create a lot more jobs than the jobs of the fossil fuel economy, which is capital intensive. But this is where the GSC could really play an important role, because politicians are blinded by the existing jobs without knowing where the new jobs come. All of the solar installations, building solar PV, also more from the Global Solar Council on local production of PV materials, industrialization around solar energy would be hugely beneficial. The politicians want to be able to say to their constituents, this direction will not only be safer for us environmentally, but it will hire you back. It will give you a job. It will be a prospect going forward. And since this happens to be the truth, also retrofitting buildings for electrification as an important part of this, I think that this is a very key message that needs to be built out in the coming months. In the United States, I expect that this will play a significant role in the move to a US Green New Deal. Having said that, I also think that regulation deserves at least as much play as pricing, or more, in my own view, in this. I don't think that going with carbon taxes is a political lead or a political winner. I think that the main thing we need to do is a national vision that says we're going to clean by 2050 and no more fossil fuel infrastructure built. Therefore, we're going to electric vehicles, which we should do by 2030. We should have every state in the United States, the way we do it is through state level renewable standards. And this is what we basically need to say. My own state of New York has said by 2040, we are at a zero carbon energy system. California, 2045. I'd like to see the United States as a whole at the federal level adopt a standard that all states should have plans to move to zero by 2040, and that this becomes the guidepost for state level action. As long as you have that regulatory approach, the pricing takes care of itself, because the competition is then within the zero carbon energies. It's not between siting of a new coal plant or new gas fired plant with renewables, because renewables are a core part of the regulatory standard. That's how we got rid of chlorofluorocarbons for ozone depletion, and I think it's how we should get rid of carbon, basically regulated out of the system. And this, I think, is true for buildings, it's true for vehicles and transport, and I think it's true for power generation, which is the most direct way that this can be done. So my recommendation for the Global Solar Council is build into this new post-COVID recovery environment that's taking shape all over the world. In Europe, it's the Green Deal. In the United States, it'll be the US Green New Deal in the Biden administration. In China, it's the Green Belt and Road Initiative. We need to be very, very clear. No more building fossil fuel power generation. It's not needed anymore. It needs to be regulated out. No more internal combustion engine light duty vehicles after 2030 should be sold. We should be moving decisively to electric vehicles. No more houses or residential or commercial structures being built on the basis of gas or heating oil, for God's sake, or coal boilers, but rather on the basis of electrification of heating and ventilation systems. If you do this, you don't even need more, because solar will outcompete the rest in almost all contexts, and will end up where we need to be by 2050 with an energy system that is more than half powered by solar energy, and with an energy system that has reached decarbonization. I'm pretty confident, actually, that we're going to get there. Even with the disaster we have in the United States, the American people are finally waking up to the fact that we have had a complete collapse of governance and that it's bad for us. And so I think we're going to move to something new. Let me turn it back over to you, Gianni.